4:32 a.m. when federal tactical teams surrounded a plain house with trimmed lawns and a ring camera. Inside, according to sealed warrants, lived a legal consultant named Abdul Rahman Khalif, a man who specialized in making crime look like commerce. At 4:38 a.m., the door gave way. Agents flooded the interior. Flashlights slicing darkness. The house smelled like air freshener masking something metallic underneath. Then a man ran. Not toward exits, toward the floor. DEA agents converged on the kitchen, a rug that didn't belong. They ripped the rug back. There it was, a steel ring handle flush into the floor like a storm drain lid. They pulled the hatch open. Cold air spilled upward, carrying the smell, damp concrete, earth, oil, and faint chemical bite that doesn't belong in homes. The staircase down wasn't makeshift, it was engineered. What they discovered beneath that suburban kitchen became the largest border tunnel network ever dismantled. 9 separate entrance points, 6 miles of reinforced passages, 3 tons of fentanyl, $2.5 million street value, 66 arrests across 5 states. This is how ICE and FBI just shattered a cartel empire that had been operating undetected for 6 years. Part 1: The Tunnel Network. Agents dropped into the tunnel one by one, weapons up, lights cutting through damp air. The tunnel ran under the block like a vein, then it widened. First chamber, plastic wrap bundles stacked like bricks, shrink wrapped tight, corners sharp. An agent sliced one open. Inside, fentanyl pills pressed clean and uniform, stamped like counterfeit currency. Not amateur, industrial. They kept moving. Second chamber, duffel bags of cash. Third chamber, weapons, grease, spare magazines. By the time they reached the next reinforced door, radio traffic above ground had changed tone. Other teams reporting seizures, cocaine, methamphetamine, heroin bundles, guns, ledgers, arrests. But down here, beneath a residential kitchen, they weren't just finding drugs. They were finding design. A tunnel built for repeat use. A tunnel built to connect to something larger. Upstairs, officers were cuffing suspects in the living room. Down here, the raid had turned into something else. Because when criminals hide drugs, they hide product. When they hide servers, they hide the plan. And plans don't belong to street crews. Plans belong to people who think in maps. Part 2: The Digital Evidence. 6:11 a.m. Federal Cyber Forensics Lab. Fluorescent lights. Steel tables. Coffee gone cold. Monitors glowed in dim. Analysts sat with the stillness you only see in people who understand one wrong click destroys months of work. FBI cyber specialist plugged in the first drive. Progress bar crawled. Second analyst ran encryption tool, watching the algorithm churn. The key finally broke. Screen filled with a diagram that made the room go silent. A network map. Not of people, of entities. Shell companies layered like camouflage. Ghost corporations registered in 3 states under one name, then dissolved, then reborn under another. A sham charity. A community foundation. A legal aid nonprofit. Restaurant chains, cash heavy, perfect for laundering. A logistics firm with clean paperwork that looked exactly like every other logistics firm until you stared at routes long enough to notice the pattern. Same trucks, same maintenance gaps at way stations, same port-adjacent corridors. In the center of the diagram, a code name. Operation Night Glass. Under it, a phrase typed in plain font. No theatrics, just certainty. Secure corridor established. Legal shield active. That's when they found the authorization keys. Encrypted signatures used to approve transfers, authorize donations, greenlight property purchases, trigger convoy movements. They expected a cartel accountant, a mid-level trafficker, some guy with a burner phone and fake ID. Instead, the signature resolved into a name linked to a legitimate legal practice, Abdul Rahman Khalif. Beside it, another file, a profile, not a mugshot, professional headshot quality, the kind of photo you put on a website, the kind of face you show a judge, the kind of face you trust because you've been trained to trust it. His network handle was simple, Ghost. The notes attached were worse, legal cover strategist, underground logistics coordinator, direct interface with Sinaloa-aligned supply cells. That's where language in the room changed. Because this wasn't bribes to look away. This wasn't corruption as a side hustle. This was command-level collusion. Engineered. Designed. A system built to move poison through a city while wearing a suit and quoting statutes. Part 3, the second wave. 3:58 am the next day. Before the city could digest the first wave, emergency briefing came alive inside temporary command center near downtown. Giant digital map filled one wall. Dozens of red markers pulsed across Los Angeles County. Some labeled stash houses. Some fronts. Some corridor nodes. Then, port markers. The ones that made everybody's jaw tighten. Because ports aren't just about drugs. Ports are about scale. Senior Federal Coordinator, voice like gravel, over 1,100 federal personnel committed to this phase. 42 tactical teams, air support staged, armored transport ready. Outside, rotors thumped, Black Hawk helicopters cutting through morning air, not for show. Because speed and surprise were the only way to stop a system from adapting. Convoys rolled. Teams deployed. Then, like a switch flipping, the raid started again. Almost simultaneously. A deserted edge warehouse out past the city line. Fentanyl press equipment still warm. Chemical drums stacked like a factory. A Rancho Palos Verdes mansion locals called a drug fortress. Forklifts abandoned mid-lift as agents flooded in. A hidden transit house used for human trafficking. Rooms packed with mattresses. Air heavy. Silence thick with fear. A migrant smuggling convoy intercepted before it could merge onto freeway. Drivers stiff. Eyes dead. Vehicles heavier than they should be. Narcotics, cocaine, meth, heroin. Fentanyl packaged with cold efficiency of people who never have to look at bodies afterward. Agents seized evidence the network wasn't just moving product. It was moving people. Moving identities. Moving futures. Stolen, repurposed, sold. By the time sun cleared the skyline, the underworld had taken more damage in 6 hours than the last 6 years. Part 4, the corrupt shield. Inside forensic rooms, investigators sifted through seized logs like reading a city's autopsy. Patrol grids that didn't make sense. Border timing anomalies. Maintenance scheduled at exact hours convoys moved. Internal chatter warning certain addresses days before raids were planned. Case files closed early. Evidence misplaced. The pattern was too clean to be chance. Then, arrests started biting deeper. Not just street-level cartel members, not just smugglers and stash housekeepers. People with badges. A senior sergeant from a local unit taken in without noise. Dozens compromised, paid in cash, paid in consulting fees, paid through sham nonprofits and shell companies designed to look charitable on paper. Honest officers, there were plenty, stood in hallways watching colleagues get walked out. Some didn't speak, some couldn't, because the betrayal wasn't abstract. It was personal. Learning that the man who shook your hand last week might have been the reason your partner walked into an ambush 3 months ago. Learning the cartel didn't just buy protection. It built a parallel enforcement system. A second police force, not wearing uniforms, not subject to voters. A shadow structure that decided which streets stayed quiet and which neighborhoods got flooded with fentanyl pills. When the lead investigator finally summarized it for the room, he didn't call it corruption. He called it what it felt like. This isn't negligence. This is engineered treason. Part 5, the infrastructure map. The seized network map didn't stop at city borders. Lines ran outward like arteries to inland distribution hubs, other states, shipping lanes, trucking routes. A fake green energy grant program that funneled money into infrastructure improvements near transit corridors. Agricultural routes used as camouflage. Produce shipments moving fast. Rarely inspected deeply because nobody wants to delay food. Port manifests altered with small changes. Weight codes, container IDs, inspection flags toggled off like turning a light switch. Way stations closed for maintenance at exact windows convoys moved through. Through it all, the same signature appeared. Authorization keys, approvals, legal shields. Not a kingpin in the mountains. Not a cartel boss in a fortress. A legal cover strategist in Los Angeles building corridors that could move tons of narcotics weekly without tripping alarms because the system itself had been trained to look away. Then the final file, long-term corridor stabilization plan. It outlined property acquisitions, political donations routed through sham charities, legal initiatives designed to restrict oversight and limit warrant access near sensitive infrastructure. In plain terms, it wasn't just about moving fentanyl. It was about turning a region into a permanent cartel logistics hub, a fortress built out of zoning laws, shell companies, and controlled enforcement. A shadow government without needing to call itself that. That's the chilling realization. The system wasn't merely infiltrated. It was being redesigned for the cartel's future. Part 6. The human cost. The numbers don't capture real damage. Beyond courtrooms, real cost is measured in lives destroyed. Fentanyl doesn't care about politics, doesn't care about speeches or flags or excuses. It kills quietly, kills fast, kills in bedrooms and bathrooms and back seats. It kills teenagers who thought they bought a pill to calm down. One victim, a 19-year-old college student, biology major with dreams of medical school. Complained of back pain after a car accident. A friend offered a pill claiming it was prescription painkiller. The pill was pressed fentanyl from this network. She took it before bed. Roommate found her unresponsive the next morning. Paramedics pronounced her dead at 7:42 a.m. Her mother testified at sentencing hearings holding a photograph. My daughter trusted people. She believed the system would protect her. Instead, a network sold her safety for money. The courtroom was silent. Conclusion: the message sent. Final tally from Operation Nightglass. 66 arrests across 5 states. 3 tons of fentanyl seized. $2.5 million street value removed from circulation. 9 tunnel entrance points dismantled. 6 miles of reinforced passages destroyed. Servers containing 6 years of operational data recovered. Shell company networks spanning 3 states exposed. Corrupt law enforcement officials removed from positions. Abdul Rahman Khalif, the ghost, faces life in federal prison without possibility of parole under RICO statutes. His network members, 25 40-year sentences. Corrupt officers, 12-18 years each. Asset forfeiture: seized properties worth $18 million, cash totaling $8.4 million, and offshore accounts containing $22 million. Power doesn't always need open violence. Sometimes it only needs silence. Sometimes it only needs ambition. The tunnel beneath that South LA kitchen wasn't just a passage for drugs. It was a doorway into a system designed to poison a generation while hiding behind legal paperwork and political connections. ICE and FBI just kicked that door down. But the fight isn't over. The tunnels keep getting built. The networks keep adapting. The hunt never ends. If you believe this evidence needs to reach those who think the system will protect them without accountability, share this now. Subscribe for the next investigation.